So I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be pretty miserable today there in this video because look at this. I got the brand new Samyang 35mm f1.4 Prima series lens, and if you've been watching the show for any amount of time, you know I'm really not a fan of 35mm lenses. Part of that is the truth. Part of that is because, you know, everybody else loves them and I'm a natural contrarian, but it's also freezing cold today. The light's yucky. Calgary in the wintertime is gross. There's barely any color. Yellow is about it. And you know what else? I mean, both my arms are starting to hurt. I think I'm getting tendonitis from carrying a camera all the time. And I got a parking ticket just a few days ago. Like, it's just not working out well. So I don't know who I have to apologize to make it better. But can this new Samyang Prima lens surprise me and break me out of my bad mood? I'm Chris Nichols. This is PetaPixel. We'll see. Okay, well, let me make it clear. My bad mood has nothing to do with Samyang. Samyang is a South Korean-based company. Don't forget that this time, Jordan, man. And they make really good stuff. I mean, Rokinon, Samyang, they've made nice optics, and we have used some of their gear in the past, but we've never reviewed it. So I'm actually excited to get some time behind this lens today and see how it's gonna go. Also, this is Samyang's third full-frame Sony E-Mount 35mm 1.4. They made a first version, they made a second version that actually had customizable buttons on it, and now we've got the P series, and P stands for Prima, you know, the first, the beginning, and so that's really kind of the idea for their new high-end series of lenses. So while we're on the topic of handling here, I like the size and feel of this lens. I mean, first off, it's only marginally larger than the Sony G Master, 67mm filter thread in the front, very simple lens design, but it's actually really lightweight, 470 grams. I believe that's lighter than the previous versions of the Samyang 35s. And this is good because I can carry it around all day. It's not a problem at all, other than, of course, it's freezing cold. But it is a very simplistic lens as far as controls go, maybe too much. All we get here is a manual focus ring. I will say it's actually beautiful to use. It's got a really nice smooth resistance to it, so it's actually really nice to focus with. I find the rubber really grippy on it as well, but there's no controls. We lose the customizable buttons from the second version of the lens. We don't have an autofocus manual focus switch, which is really annoying to leave out. There's just nothing whatsoever other than that ring. The lens housing itself does feel kind of light and plastic, but it does seem very rugged. This is a weather-sealed lens as well, so I'm not worried about dust or anything getting in there, water. It seems to be able to handle that quite nice. We get this compact little hood, which is bayonets on the front, and it does have a USB-C port for firmware updates, and that's built right into the lens mount, so it's sealed as well against the camera body. Oh, I'm not in a good mood. I'm so grumpy. Oh, fire means heat, but it's so tall. Why is it so high? I feel nothing. Oh, I'm in video mode. Yuck. It's interesting, even with the intense cold, I can still smell piss. .35mm is never wide enough. Never wide enough. So this 35mm lens actually focuses very fast, and that's thanks to its linear stepping motor. It's doing a really good job driving the elements. I was actually quite impressed. So a little bit of noise, nothing crazy, but really swift focus from near to far. And I'm finding it very accurate, consistent. It's working with the Sony A7R5 perfectly. Look, we found more color, and you know where else you're gonna find color? This lens, especially when you're shooting wide open at f1.4. So, a couple kinds of chromatic aberration we're dealing with. First off, we're dealing with some just classic lateral CA. When you're shooting wide open at 1.4, you can see a bit of purple fringing around a lot of the edges here. This is not a big deal. It is actually very easy to correct in post, but it is there and you'll notice it. Goes away when you stop down. But there's also loca. That's the longitudinal chromatic aberration. That's where the color expands into the foreground and background out of focus areas. And that's actually really hard to get rid of in post, so you don't want it. It's not terrible, but you're gonna see some, especially when shooting wide open. You can see that magenta green split there in the foreground and background, and it's not the best result. So color's not always good. You winter, you. Okay, time to talk about bokeh. So looking at this lens at f1.4, you can see a little bit of a cat's eye effect in the corners. That largely goes away when you stop down. And as you do stop down, you'll find that the specular highlights still have a somewhat polygonal effect. It's not strong, it's fine. A little bit of an onion ring effect going on. It's kind of, kind of messy inside the bokeh there, and a bit of a soap bubble effect as well. And so this all leads to backgrounds that are maybe slightly harsh. Not bad. I mean, overall, I like the bokeh of this lens, but I wouldn't say that it's like standing out as a fantastic shallow depth of field lens. It's not bad either. It's just kind of middling. Okay, so it's so cold, I'm sure you can see me breathing, but what you're not going to see breathing is the Samyang Prima 35mm 1.4, which means that as I manually focus from near to far and near again, I'm not seeing the field of view change in any dramatic way. It stays the same. Couple this with the fact that we get this really nice manual focusing ring, and this becomes, sorry, my cheeks are frozen, my mouth is not like speaking properly. Couple that all together, and this is actually a really nice lens for cinema. If you like that 35mm look.
I do.
I don't know what Jordan does. I don't. But anyways, really nice actual for cinema. Really, really nice. It's really cold.
Walk away.
Okay, so anytime the wind blows, it's pushing us close to -30. Our microphones are actually failing. Actually, Jordan's receiver is cacking it because it's so cold. So you know what? We're going to head back to my place where it's nice and warm. I'm still grumpy, but maybe sharpness, test charts, that kind of thing will cheer me up. Let's get to that next. So of course on this show we like to shoot in the field, which means we endure the freezing cold for you, but we also like to do some more static, more scientific tests. And here is the good old Canadian test chart. Now, when I'm shooting this here, I've got to light it as evenly and smoothly as possible. And I've used some really bad lights, and it's way better now that we move over to these twin Westcott L120B cob lights. So first off, I can dial these in for perfect color temperature. I generally will shoot at 5600 Kelvin, daylight balanced. I can also change the power intensity. And most importantly, these things are, first off, very color accurate, CRI of 98 plus. I mean, they're very clean, no color tint to worry about. But also, and I think even maybe more importantly, these things control flicker really well. So when I'm shooting, I'm not getting different exposures as I take different shots. And also, I like to shoot electronic shutter when I can to prevent as much motion blur and maximize sharpness. And these won't give me any banding. So it's really nice for that. So I'm getting faster shutter speeds in general because they're more powerful. No banding, no strange exposures. Definitely click the link in the description below, and then you can check out the Westcott L120B cob lights for yourself, or head to fjwestcott.com. I think they're a fantastic kit. Anyways, let's talk about the sharpness results we got on our test chart. Okay, so is the Samyang 35mm 1.4 sharp? Well, yes, absolutely. Okay, so looking here at the center at 1.4, you can see some of that chromatic aberration we're talking about, but it's got a lot of detail. Very sharp shooting wide open at 1.4. Stopping down to f4, I don't really notice much change other than the CA goes away, but detail is already fantastic. In the corner shooting at 1.4, you can see there's a little bit of softness here in the corner. It's not terrible, it's not great either, but you'll notice that when you stop down the aperture, that goes away, things sharpen up really nicely. So overall, I'd say this is a very sharp lens. I do think the G Master has an advantage when it comes to corner sharpness, but I'm happy with the detail I'm getting here, even wide open. So we have a nice sharp lens. It actually also does really well when it comes to flare. So as you can see here, shooting wide open, good contrast, no problems at all. Even stopping heavily down, I'm not really seeing any major ghosting. And this is good because the previous Samyang 35mm lenses did have some issues with flare. Looks like they've largely corrected that. And so I've been playing with this 35mm lens today, and you know what? I don't hate it. In fact, I even kind of like it because it's got some really good optical characteristics. It's managed to cheer me up. I mean, flare is well controlled. The breathing is great. It's a sharp lens. The bokeh could be a little bit better, but it's not bad at all. Corner sharpness, these are minor things. Overall, the performance is very decent. The only thing I really wish the lens had was actual more controls on the lens itself. Maybe a focus clutch, or at least an autofocus, manual focus selector switch, and the return of the customizable buttons would be nice. But for Samyang's premium Prima lens, I think they've done a really good job here despite the focal length. So at PetaPixel, we're going to this phase looking forward through 2025 to try to review more third-party manufacturers. And of course, you've got companies like Tamron and Sigma who have absolutely upped the game over the years and are really competing with the main manufacturers. But at the same time, you've got companies like Samyang, you've got companies like Viltrox who are also making fantastic lenses that do autofocus, that work well with the bodies, and are actually really showing off their optical performance at way lower prices. And there's no denying that the Samyang 35mm Prima is fantastic value for the dollar. Now that all being said, I mean the Sony G-Master, wildly more expensive, but still one of the best lenses we've ever tested optically. I mean, it has basically no compromises. And at the same time as well, the Sigma 35mm 1.4 Art Series, one of our favorite lenses, addresses some of the issues that I do have with this particular lens, and you can often get it on sale for not much more money than this lens. So that is also something to consider. Regardless, Samyang have made a 35mm lens that, if I enjoyed 35mm lenses, I would happily rely on for a lot of professional work. And if you decide to get one of these, I think you'd be happy with it too. Leave your comments below and let us know what you think about this and some of the other third-party lenses that are coming out as well. Listen to us on the podcast. It's on this exact same channel, but you can also listen to us while you're cleaning your lenses or swabbing your sensors or, doing your dishes, whatever. Anyways, on your favorite podcasting apps, just search for the PetaPixel podcast. Also, if you do get a chance, check out PetaPixel.com. We've got great articles there, a fantastic team of writers, and if you want, you can even sign up for a PetaPixel membership, and that way you can peruse all of those ad-free. That might be something you really want to look into. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate it, and we'll see you soon on PetaPixel.